start in a minute, or in 5 minutes, excuse me. Okay, looks like it's 9 a.m. on this Friday, and we're going to go ahead and start the webinar. We really appreciate everybody coming on and attending this Friday morning. It's this is a crazy time of the year, I know, for a lot of people, and time is valuable, but we felt like this was going to be an important topic that we wanted to talk a little bit about. I'm Jay Kempton with the Kempton Group, and this is Kim Lynn with Keystone Flex Administrators. And we wanted to talk about the Section 125 and HRA administration services. If you're on this call, you are a current Kempton Group Administrators client for Section 125 and or HRA administration. And most of you all probably have already been contacted by your account manager, but I have made the decision a few months back, and we've been kind of working on the details to make a change as far as Kempton service offerings and really us to kind of step out of the Section 125 and HRA business. It was definitely something we did not take lightly, and I know I look at things probably the way most of you all do, and that is I don't like being bought and sold as a customer of anything. So we wanted to be very, we certainly didn't want to do anything like that. I'll give you all just a quick little background. You know, the Kempton Group has been doing Section 125 administration since Section 125 was passed back in 1986. I can remember some of the folks here at Kempton back when I was in high school trying to develop the administration. You know, this was back right when it was passed. And so we've been doing it for a long time. But we've never viewed Section 125 here at the Kempton Group as a standalone product. We've never offered 125 or HRA administration outside of Kempton's health clients. So if we administered your health plan, then we would offer our services for 125. Really kind of a courtesy to kind of keep it in the shop. Because of that, we have not put a lot of research and development dollars into kind of keeping up with some of the bells and whistles, if you will, on 125 or HRA. We've been very, very good at the steak, but not so great at the sizzle. So we started kind of looking around for different partners, and we actually started to run into Kim Lynn and her team at some mutual clients of ours where we had the health plan, but Kim had the 125 plan. And we really started to interact and appreciate the way that each other did business. And so about a year ago, Kim and I decided that we would kind of start working much more closely together. We still did our 125 administration. She still did hers. But we actually had decided that Kim was looking for some office space. We had some office space, so we moved Kim and her company into the Kempton Group offices. And so for about a year, we've been working very, very closely, literally very, very closely with them. And starting January 1, Kempton is going to be stepping out of that administration, and Kim and Keystone Flex Administrators is going to be stepping into that administration. And we wanted to talk a little bit about how that's going to work, and also more importantly to you all, you know, my valued clients and hopefully soon to be Kim's valuable clients, to make you all understand the way that this handoff is going to work. And I think that everybody on the line will view this as a pretty significant upgrade, no loss, but a lot of gain. So with that, well, I probably should have slipped this slide earlier. As you all know, this is Kim Lynn. She's President and CEO of Keystone Flex, and I'm Jay Kempton. At this point, I'm going to just turn this thing over to Kim, and I'll make some editorial comments as we go. But I'm going to introduce Kim, and she's going to kind of tell you all about Keystone Flex and what all this means to you all. Kim?
Thank you, Jay. Thank you all for tuning in to us today on a Friday, and look forward to visiting about the Flex and HRA administration for all of you. I want to tell you a little bit about Keystone. I own it and have owned a Flex business for almost 23 years now. That's all I've done, and the Flex and HRA business has made a lot of changes in those years. I've seen a lot of things come and go. Charla Allison is our claims manager here at Keystone, and the person that is responsible for basically taking the new group and punting it off to the next person and getting everything set up. She does manage the day-to-day operations of the Flex business and HRA business for us. Chelsea is in the claims department, does the day-to-day claims processing, all the adjudication, does a lot of answering of the phones for you know, any of the Benny card questions, things like that. We'll talk more about that in a moment. And she also helps me with my day-to-day administrative assistant duties there.
Move on.
Yes. All right, we're going to jump right in to some of the features that we will have available. I would like to tell you, for those of you that might have the HRA and Flex plan both with Kempton, this will be very beneficial for you on those pieces of the pie here. For those of you who may not, you may just have the Flex plan or you may just have the HRA plan. If I could ask you to please stay till the end. There are some day-to-day housekeeping issues we're going to discuss as well, and I think it'll be beneficial for you to hear that piece also towards the end. So we're going to jump right into the Flex plan first, and one of the new options that are available to you, and it is the Benny card, which is the debit card option.
This is an enhancement that we've been hearing about for years, and just to give you all some just quick background, we have done the auto rollover for unreimbursed medical claims, and that's something that we always had as a kind of a limitation, that we had a choice of either doing the auto rollover function or doing a Benny card. Because of our system platform, we were not able to ever do both. And so we kind of were straddling two worlds, but we're super excited about this enhancement for our clients, and even for Kempton Group as an employer, we're a new customer as well. So the Benny cards, I think, are going to be a huge thing. So Kim, thank you. This is exciting.
Well, thank you. It is for us too. We have seen through the years when we added this platform ourselves, how it just brought to the table a lot more client base. The employers were pleased to be able to offer this to their employees. It is the latest and greatest out there right now, so talk about bells and whistles, this is the biggest bell here. First of all, let me tell you some of the particulars about the Benny card. When this is something that you decide to elect, this is an option, and if you decide that this is something that you want to offer to your employees, at the time the annual election is made by the employees for their Flex plan for the year, that full annual election is loaded on the cards at the beginning of the plan year. So in other words, when they receive these cards, which do come to their home, and when they receive them, they get 2 cards to begin with that are embossed and ready for them to go once they go in there and get their card registered. It is a true MasterCard, so they have to register it just like they would any MasterCard. Once that card is registered, it's ready for them to use from that point forward. It is used at any merchant that takes a MasterCard. So for instance, if an employee were to go to Walgreens, CVS, the doctor's office, dentist office, vision care providers, they would swipe this card at anywhere that takes a MasterCard. Once that goes through, it tells them right then and there that swipe is taking place, and that is something that they're able to use to pay for that copay, to pay for that
and those funds come right out of their Section 125 election.
Correct, correct. Comes right off that balance on their
right
card.
then, right at the point of sale. That's the beauty.
Yes. So the nice thing about that, the beauty of that as well, is there's no paper claims to submit. There's no back and forth of paper, emails, etc. There's none of that takes place. It's an instant, so that you can't get your money any faster than instant. So
we were happy with the ability to do a direct deposit for the employees in a day or two, but you cannot beat instantaneous gratification. So right. Huge upgrade.
Yeah, it does that as well. So also for employees that use the Benny card, if they go to a merchant that does not take it, I will tell you there's very few. But for instance, let me give you a for instance. Let's say there's an over-the-counter item that the doctor has told them they need to take, maybe an iron tablet. That is no longer an eligible Benny card item. IRS took that away several years ago, the over-the-counters. But iron tablets are eligible with a letter of medical necessity from their doctor. So if the doctor writes that and says, yes, Kim Lynn, you can have that iron tablet, then that would have to be a manual submission that they send to us. With a manual submission to us, there's going to be an employee portal that the employees can go to, a private portal just for them, that they can submit a manual claim to us. And when they submit that with their letter of medical necessity, etc., then that comes to us, we process, and we mail that money out to them. That can go back to them in a check or a direct deposit. That's the option of the employee, however they want their monies returned to them. We do guarantee a 48-hour turnaround on the claims. So if we receive those claims by noon, we guarantee those claims are going to be out the door within 48 hours. So they're going to get their money pretty quick either way, but it does allow them the option for that as well, so it does not hold up their dollars. With that also, an employee can do a manual claim, and they can use their debit card, because there's some employees that like to use both, or there's some employees that say, I want to hold all my claims, and I want to wait until December for my Christmas fund.
The shoebox.
There we go.
Shoeboxers.
The shoeboxers, and we still have a lot of those, which is fine. And you can also do that as well. So those debit cards are sent to the employee's homes, as stated, and then they are eligible to use those when they get it registered. They also have for them a site, mybenny.com site, and that gives them access to their balances 24/7. This also is the place they're going to register their card, and this is also the site that will show them what they've used their cards for, any details. Another neat thing about that site is it shows on there from time to time a little box that says documentation required. When an employee sees that, they may first think, oh, I have to mail something in, I have to send it off. No, that's just telling them you might want to make sure you keep that receipt in an envelope or somewhere, because if there's an audit, the employee is responsible for making sure that they prove that they used that for that particular expense. So nothing has to be sent in, nothing has to substantiate with us. It's just that they need to keep it.
If they see that, I mean, they've already received their dollars. I mean, they've already received
done.
the benefit. This is simply just a reminder that, you know, hey, if you were ever audited by the IRS, this transaction especially needs some supporting documentation and keep it. So I think that's very good.
Yeah. And another thing about that site as well is this is live with us. So because it's live, literally Chelsea or Charla or I can get on that site. If an employee is using their card at a facility and they may have problems, it may not go through, it may kick it out for many reasons. If there is a way that that employee can call us during working hours while they're there at the provider, 9 times out of 10 we can get that solved for them right then and there. We see exactly what's going on. It is a live MasterCard system with us, so we can see that.
So it's in real time.
It's in real time,
yeah,
sure is.
Great.
So that helps. If an employee can do that, if they have the availability to do that, we can usually help them get that solved. So.
Great. So that's the enhancement for the employees.
Correct.
We're going to look at the enhancements for the employers.
Correct. Yes. The enhancement here for the employer, there's several here. The first one is the funding of the Benny cards. The reason that this is going to be a little different for you is the fact that there's no need for you all to send us your payroll withholdings anymore. When these employees elect what they want to do for the year, the payroll withholdings will stay with you, the employer, and then we will only bill you for your admin fees and debit card fees if you choose the debit card. So the funding of the cards will take place each and every week, meaning that when your employees swipe their cards, the next Monday, so the following Monday, Evolution, the debit card vendor, will send an email to whoever you designate that will show the usage for the week prior. May or may not have usage that prior week, so you may get a report that says no activity. But that Monday, when you receive it, it'll come to you at 6 a.m. We don't expect you to be there to receive it. It'll come to your email, and when you receive that, it'll show exactly what the total was for the prior week. It's going to show the employee name and the amount. That's all it's going to show. It's not going to show the vendor, the provider, any of that. Just Tim Lynn, $20. When you see that report, that is your notification that that night, Bancorp, who is the bank that Evolution uses, will swipe your account for the usage for the week prior.
It's like an ACH
Yes,
draw.
exactly. It's an ACH from them. So that will give you the notification on the Benny card usage on a weekly basis. The nice thing, too, about having that weekly is if someone leaves, you will be able to see on there that they're not using their card and all that good stuff. So it does help you for that as well. So there will also be an employer portal available. I mentioned earlier the employee portal. There will also be an employer portal available for you that is a lot more detailed for you, the employer. This is where you can go on and you can literally print any kind of report you want to see. There's probably more on there you'd ever use, but there is that availability if you need it. You may need it for your accounting department. You may need to see what an employee's balance is. There's all kinds of reports out there that you can pull from 24/7. You can do your terminations, new hires, your address changes. You can also order a new Benny card for an employee if they lost theirs, it was stolen. They need another one for a child at college. That is a $10 fee for an additional card, but it is available, and they will send those out if that's something that you want to do.
On our webinar we had last night, you had mentioned that the $10 fee, which is something I didn't realize, it's kind of like a lifetime fee for that individual.
Correct.
It's $10 that creates the card, but if the card, as long as the card's not lost or stolen,
right.
When the card expires, they get a new card, and they never have to pay the $10 again unless the card is lost or stolen.
Correct.
That's great.
On the front of the card, it will show an expiration date, how long that card is good for. I believe it's 5 years, and that card will stay in force that whole time and just be reloaded every year with the amount the employee elects at each open enrollment. So they won't have to worry about getting new cards every year, every 5 years. But once that 5 years is up, yes, they'll get new cards automatically, no new charges. So that will come to them, that way. So another thing that's nice about the Benny cards is we've seen through the years that it definitely helps with the employee satisfaction, meaning that someone comes to you from another organization and they've been used to having a debit card on their flex plan. It's very difficult to take that out of their hands if they've had it before. So it does help with the employee satisfaction when you bring employees on that have had it before.
Yeah, I mean, and that's something that we've heard. I mean, us getting a new 125 Flex client, a lot of times is hampered because if they've had a debit card before, it's like you said, as an employer, it's very difficult for them to even get their minds wrapped around any type of a solution that does not have a debit card. And then for those of you on the call that maybe have been with Kempton for many years, you all may have had a new employee that's come on and has chosen not to participate in your 125 plan because you don't have a debit card. And so one of the other things that Kim and I think is going to be a big benefit to the employers as far as the additional FICA savings is I think you're going to see your participation in your Section 125 plan go up, which of course that benefits the employer with additional FICA savings, and it provides a more a valuable employee benefit to your folks.
Definitely, definitely.
And what about this asterisk up here?
All right. Well, you've heard all the great things about the Benny card, but now we'll talk dollars. Mr. Employer, you want to know that piece, so I'm going to tell you what that is.
I always do.
Yes. The debit card is $1.50 per participant per month fee. So the monthly fee to add the debit card is the $1.50 per participant. We've been asked, not only in yesterday's webinar, but throughout the time we've been talking with folks, can the employees pick and choose if they want the debit card? Can they say, oh, I want it, but Sally Sue doesn't want it? No. Evolution says that if you elect the Benny cards, debit cards for the group as a whole receives those debit cards if you're a participant in the Flex plan. So if you're a participant, a card will come to you. Do you have to use the card? No. Can you file totally manually? Yes. But there still is the $1.50 per month per participant fee. That can also be passed on to the employee. If the employer does not want to pay that fee, that can be passed on to the employee as a charge, and that is a pre-tax fee that you can pass on to the employee.
Wow, that's great. I mean,
that gives them an option.
Yeah, even if the employer doesn't want to step up and pay the fee, then the fact that the employees can pay the pre-tax is a good consolation.
Right. I will tell you the only negative I've seen through the years with that avenue is the fact that an employee sometimes will say, well, I don't want the debit card, so I don't want to pay that $1.50. Unfortunately, it is per employee, so per participant. There is the one-time setup fee. This setup fee is what Evolution calls their embossing fee. That means that your group as a whole gets the cards embossed, sent out to them, and you will pay a one-time $250 fee. When I say one-time, I mean one-time forever and ever, amen. If you're with us for 10 years, you'll never pay that $250 fee again. Even after the 5th year when the new cards go out, they don't ever charge that fee again. So that is a one-time setup fee with Evolution, and if you stay with us forever, you'll never get that again from us. So that is a one-time fee.
So it's more economical to stay with her forever.
Yes, it is. Definitely more economical. There's also the escrow deposit. This escrow deposit is with the vendor, Bank Corp, and the reason why they require an escrow deposit is we talked about how the employees can utilize their Benny cards for a week, and then come Monday, you'll basically pay back the Bank Corp fund. So the reason they require an escrow deposit is because that week they're fronting those charges on your behalf. This escrow deposit is equivalent to 5% of the annual elections for your employees. So most of you probably know what your employees do annually, and we will send a report to you showing after the elections have been made, et cetera. Here's what your 5% is going to be.
And of course, at the end of the year, it's a wash. So.
Yeah, exactly. But that is something that you do have to put up front. We do give you the report showing what that is, and then we let you know this is going to be withdrawn from your account in a couple of days. We'll give you that window to know it's, once again, swiped from your account from Bancorp. This is a 100% refundable deposit. So if you decide, I don't want Benny cards anymore, I don't want Kim anymore, which is not allowed, then that is 100% refundable. So that is something that you would get back 100%. So they don't keep a portion of that. It is trued up every year. I did have somebody ask me that yesterday. So every year at the beginning of the year, it's trued up based on the annual elections. So if they go down the next year, your escrow deposit would go down, and they would refund the difference to you.
Great.
Okay.
Great.
Thanks.
Move on?
Yes. All right. Daily processing on manual claims. What this means is if you have an employee that does not do the flex, unreimbursed medical, in other words, they don't want any type of unreimbursed medical set aside, but they want to do daycare. They're a daycare-only participant. This person would not receive a Benny card and not be charged the $1.50 Benny card fee because they're a daycare participant only. So they would only be charged the admin fee that you all are charged now. So that admin fee is all they would be charged, not a debit card fee. They're going to have manual claims processing. The reason, too, for that is, as you know, daycare is an item that they only get paid back what they've had withdrawn from their check. So it's money in, money out on the daycare side. So that is a manual claim. Once again, they can send that to us through the employee portal. They can send to us via fax. They can send to us via scan email, however they want to get us the daycare.
So email a PDF of a receipt or anything like that. Now, the really cool thing, though, you got to talk about when you said they can file it on the portal.
Yeah.
Talk about that real quick, because I think that's one of the coolest things.
Okay. They can set up their own portal, and they don't have to, but it does help them a lot. They can set up their own portal to where they can go in there and they can pull the claim from a Word document. They can even pull it from their smartphone. So, for instance, you take a picture of your claim with your smartphone, the receipt from the daycare center, the receipt from your prescription, and you take a picture with your phone, you can turn right around and submit that through the portal to us, and we'll accept, obviously, that claim that direction. So in the world of smartphones, it sure is nice to be able to have that as well. Yeah. And not have to hold on to your paper, bring it into the office, make sure you scan it. So it does save some time on that as well.
Yep.
So they can do that too. So the daycare is processed each payroll, as you know, because they receive their funds back based on payroll. And that is a manual claim, like I said, for the daycare. Same on the over-the-counter example I gave earlier. That is also a manual submission with a doctor's letter, et cetera. So that would come through as a manual claim too. We can ACH to the employee's bank account if the employee chooses to do so. They don't have to have ACH, but they do. We do guarantee that they get their money within 48 hours when they go to direct.
So a direct deposit.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. If they want us to snail mail them a check, we'll do it. We just don't guarantee the time frame of getting it there via Pony Express. So. The filing of the claims, we talked about that piece. And then the funding of the claims on the manual, it's just a little different on the manual side because it does not go through the Benny because it's not a Benny card item. The manual claims, we process what's called a check register, which most of you are used to seeing those. You'll get a check register from Keystone that shows the manual claims that we're going to process on your behalf. We will email that to the contact person that you designate. And then once that's received by you, that day, we will pull from your account and pay that claim on behalf of your employee. We do not wait for an okay on that claim. We send it to you, and then we do pull from you the same day. So we're just letting you know this is money that's going to be coming out of your account. So, good. All right.
Move on. All right.
Yes. All right. Now we're going to move on to the HRAs. The HRA plans are some that you all have now. And the HRA plans are manual plans. So we do not use the debit card.
This is an HRA plan that doesn't have a flex plan as well.
Correct.
So just employers that just have usually a standalone, actually it's not a standalone, it's a deductible integrated HRA plan.
Correct. Correct. So for the HRA plans, for those of you who do have this right now, there is no debit card attached to that. And you really don't want it attached to that, and here's the reason. A debit card cannot recognize that that's a deductible-only item. So it can't tell when you swipe that at the dentist office, is that a deductible? Of course, you and I know it's not.
Have you met your deductible?
Correct.
Right.
Another perfect point. So you really want that to be sent in on a manual basis. Number one, we can adjudicate it. That's our job. Also, we can look at it to make sure it's within the time frame. It's also a legitimate claim, correct dependents, etc. So that's why we want it on a manual basis, and that's the reason you want it on a manual basis. This is 100% employer money, so that's our job to protect the employer's money, and so that's why we choose to do it that way, make sure it's correct. The way we handle the claims on that side, on the HRA plans, is we send a check register once again to the person you designate. Once that is received by you, then we send the unsigned check to the employer for distribution to the employee. The reason we like to do that is because the employer can then take that check, once again employer money, they can take that check, give to the employee, or if they had to let an employee go the day before, etc., a recent termination, then you can say, nope, not going to send that check through. Obviously, they're not here anymore. So it helps protect those dollars once again for you, and we send that to the employer. The funding of the claims, there is no upfront funding on the HRA plans. There's no deposit required on the HRA plans. We only fund those claims as they incur. So if you don't have an HRA claim that's paid until 6 months into the plan, you don't have to worry about having any money sitting somewhere else ready for claims to be paid. This is employer money, and you only have to fund it as the claims incur.
No, and we talked a little bit about this yesterday, but for folks that have their health plan with the Kempton Group, which should be most everybody on the call, the employee can go out to the Kempton Group portal and pull down, the employee can then pull down their EOB, their latest explanation of benefits, and they can always save that to PDF or print it as a PDF. But if they were to save that to a PDF and then email that to Keystone Administrators, then you can process off that as well. So think of it as a manual claim filing. However, it can be all done right there on your computer with just a couple of clicks of the mouse.
Correct. And in fact, that is the best way to submit a claim because that EOB is going to be inclusive of everything we need on there. Date of service, employee name, everything. So yes, that's the best way to handle that.
Great.
So
great.
All right. All right. This is the part that a few of the housekeeping and the billings and all that fun stuff. We want to talk very quickly about the billings. You will receive from us detailed billings just as you receive now. When I say detailed billings, I mean it's going to say Kim Lynn has this amount elected, here's their admin fees, and here's their debit card fees if you elect, etc. So it is not a, oh, you have 12 participants times the admin fee type billing. It is a detailed billing just as you receive now. So that will help you if you see on there, oh, I forgot to take off Kim Lynn off the billing, she's been terminated, etc. So that will help you to be able to look at that on a monthly basis. That does come to you via email the first week of each month. We send out our billings via email. We try to stay green on that piece. So that is sent to you via email, and you'll receive that the first week of each month. That will be inclusive of the administrative fees and, if you elect, the debit card fees. It will not have on there any type of payroll withholdings for your flex plan, etc. You, the employer, will hold on to those if you have a flex plan. Those will never be submitted to Keystone any longer. Those you will hold on to in an account of your choosing. So we will only bill you once a month for the administrative fees and debit card fees, if you like those.
Okay.
Then you can choose on the ACH side. We go in and pull from you either the 15th of the month or the last day of each month, whichever you choose. So you can pick which day is easier for you on pulling of the fees.
So that's
the fees.
Very nice.
Just the fees. So
one less check to write.
there we go. Exactly. So that piece makes it a little more seamless as well. So,
Okay.
All right. Some of the other items that we do on your behalf, discrimination testing. This is an item that we do for you free of charge. We do not charge extra for this piece. You may see some additional questions that come your way on the employer side in order for us to do the discrimination testing on your behalf. Our biggest things that we want to make sure that you know with us, we're going to keep you compliant. So keeping you compliant is a piece of that being the discrimination testing. So we will be asking some of those questions when we bring you on board, if that's your choice. And we.
You mean not just nosy?
No, we're not being nosy.
Not just nosy, okay.
Yeah, we're asking that for a reason. So we are right down the hall from Jay and his staff. We are in their office. We work closely with them, so you still have that one-stop shop, and a lot of the reason you are here is for that availability to everybody in all of the different departments. So you still have us available there.
And I'll just kick in. Literally, Kim is just 2 offices away from me, just on the same hallway. So Kim and I do see each other in the halls, at the coffee machine, et cetera. And that was really one of the things that was key for Kempton, is that if we were going to get out of this business and partner with somebody else, it was going to have to be a very close relationship, literally, figuratively. And we've got that. It's a wonderful thing. I think that our customers will also appreciate the fact that since Keystone is right here in our office, they are a separate and independent company. Kim runs the show on the Keystone side, but we, for instance, we share a phone system. So if you're calling Kempton in regards to a claims question on the medical plan and have a question about the 125, they can just transfer, the Kempton employee can just transfer you right over to Keystone without even missing a beat. And if you're on the phone with Keystone with a question about the 125 and have a question about a claim or eligibility or COBRA, Kim can also transfer that over into the correct department within the Kempton Group. So it is really still, you all know, you've heard it come out of my mouth 100 times. We want to be that one-stop shop. With Kim, we've been really blessed that we're going to be able to maintain that one-stop shop. And before anybody asks, Raylene is not going anywhere. Raylene is still a very, very valued Kempton employee. She's going to be getting out of the 125 business, though, along with the Kempton Group. But you all may end up getting to work with Raylene in the future in another area. But she's still there, and if anybody needs to talk to Raylene, you can certainly be asked to transfer to her. And Raylene's working real close with Kim and her team through this transition period right here at the end of this year. We are kind of living in 2 worlds because we are trying to close out 2014 with the Kempton Group on the 125 side, while, of course, simultaneously trying to do the enrollments and the new elections for 2015 with Keystone, but just I want everybody just to keep in mind that it is we're trying to make that as a unified and seamless transition as possible. So it's not like I don't think we're going to have a lot of new burden for the employers.
Right. And really, it's been very helpful to get us data to be able to get that done, quickly and efficiently. So,
yep.
Very much so. One thing too, we want to make sure the Kempton and the Keystone forms, as far as enrollment forms, as far as future forms, those are going to be separate. So I know in the past several people have stated that there might be changes reflected on your 125 form with Kempton that needs to go to the medical side. We need to make sure that that is kept separate, and we want to protect HIPAA on both sides of the fence, and so that's a lot of that reason. So data as far as terms, additions, etc., will now come through us and on the Flex and HRA side.
Yeah, and that's a great point. I mean, even though we're kind of housemates and really very close, legally we are completely two separate entities. Kim has her own HIPAA compliance, hurdles to make sure that she's doing everything right, as does Kempton. And of course, for us just to talk amongst ourselves, I mean, we have to have all the appropriate HIPAA safety and security and privacy protocols in place, which of course seems kind of bizarre, but I mean that's the world that we live in now, right? So,
yes, it is.
But we do want to keep in mind, even though we're a one big happy family and everything, legally we are two separate companies. So don't anybody get their feelings hurt if either Kempton or Keystone says, well, that is a Keystone issue. You're going to need to use a Keystone form for that. So just wanted to. We don't like surprises any more than you all do, so just want to get that out.
Throw that out there, yes, definitely. As far as contact, as far as how we're going to get this accomplished, as far as what you all want to do in the future, we will be contacting you regarding the plan renewal if we do not hear from you, and feel free to give us a call, email, etc. Contact your account manager, of course, first and foremost, and we will get in touch with you very quickly. We've already talked to several groups that we had on the webinar yesterday. Yep. So that is what we're here for. I also want to let you know one other piece. There is a video that is available, and it was done by our organization a couple years ago, and it is for employees. And it is the Flex Plan in a nutshell with the Benny card and how a Flex Plan works, and it's in layman language, and it's very easy to understand. We have that available for you to be able to give to your employees. We don't expect you. They can, right now we're working on getting that out to our website. Okay. So we're going to have that available pretty quick. I know that Ben was working on that with us, so great. We are going to be having that out on our website. We also are hopeful we'll be able to have a link that we can email you as well. So one of the two ways you will be able to get it from us pretty quick. And we don't expect you to remember every single detail we've told you today. It's on the video, and that might help you with educating your employees as well. I know that was one thing we talked about yesterday, is me not being able to get in front of every employer group.
Yes.
But we are hopeful we can get in front of all of you as quickly as possible after the first of the year. So as many as we can, I would love to get in front of.
You bet. I mean, and that's great. That's a great point. That Kim is very much a relationship-driven person, and as is her company and her employees. That's why we work so well together. But with all that being said, with so many moving parts these days as far as HR and benefits are concerned, it is physically impossible for Kim to be in every single client's offices between now, and there's just not enough days on the calendar between now and the first of the year, which is a shame, and we hate it, but it's a reality. So the Kempton reps are out there, and you may end up having to do your Keystone enrollment and elections and everything either over the phone or via email or fax. But Kim's going to be, she's going to meet every single one of you. You will see her smiling face in your office at some point, but it very well likely could be after the first of the year. Maybe not for everybody, but for some.
Yes. There's also online enrollment available with us where they can go through the Keystone site to do online enrollment if you so choose to have your employees go that direction. It's very simplistic. It literally is 2 screens.
And if they want to do that, they just call you all.
They can. We can set that up. There's no additional charge for that direction, so that's just a way you can go. I will tell you that the online enrollment gets their debit cards in their hands much quicker.
Yeah.
So, because that's an instant download to the debit card carrier.
Great.
So.
Great.
All right.
Yeah,
so
I noticed we've done 2 of these now, and we don't have your web address.
I realized that last night as well.
Yeah.
We do have a web address, www.keystoneflex.com.
KeystoneFlex.com.
Yes.
Great.
So should put that on there. I realized that last night.
Yeah, well, that's laid plans.
I know it.
Now, we're early, which, my goodness, I'm very pleased with that. 9:41. We did a lot an hour, but I'm going to go ahead and open up to questions. We're going to kind of open up our question box here and start answering your questions, and we'll just take questions until we run out of questions. Let's see here, get this thing over, we can read it.
One thing too I want to discuss is the rollover and the grace period. I know that was a question I got asked yesterday. The rollover and the grace period are 2 options to extend your flex plan that you may or may not be aware of. The $500 rollover is the newest addition by IRS for flex plans. That literally gives you $500 that you can roll into your plan year after year after year. So if an employee has money left at the end of the year, they can roll those dollars forward, $500 or less. If they have $1,000 left at the end of the year, they could stand to lose $500 with the rollover feature. But that is a feature that's new. It is available, and that is something that employees can elect to do if they, if the employer wants to elect that piece. There's also the 2.5-month grace period. The 2.5-month grace period states that an employee has an additional 2.5 months until March 15th for those of you who have the 1/1 effective date. So that gives them until March 15th to incur and submit claims. So if an employee had that $1,000 and you all had the 2.5-month grace period, it gives them the time to use that full $1,000 in the 2.5 months of the following year. So they could go that direction as well.
But Keystone, we didn't mention that, but Keystone can and does administer both the grace period and the rollover if the employer wants that. And that's actually one of our first questions here is, I have 3 questions. What is the regular monthly admin fee? Question 1. Will the $500 rollover roll over to Keystone?
Yes, it will.
Just answered that, yes. And what if you don't know what insurance will pay and you want to use the Benny card to pay what you think is your portion? What if you overpay using your card?
Those are all great questions. Thank you, Sally. The first one, as far as the admin fees, those are based on a case-by-case basis. We will be discussing those with you because it's case size.
It's based on size of the employer?
Correct. Okay. Correct. So we will be discussing those with you on a case-by-case basis and letting you know that very quickly.
Kim, I might just interject. Kim is alive and well in the competitive sphere of 125 administration, not only here in Oklahoma, but also in Texas, and she's very competitive with other service offerings. Of course, with Kempton and with Keystone, we have never, ever touted as being the discount leader, bottom of the barrel price-wise. We try to offer a Cadillac, and sometimes we do, you got to pay for a Cadillac, but we do always want to be very, very fair, very, very competitive, but we definitely have a very, very robust service offering with a lot of expertise behind that, and I think that's really your philosophy as well on that.
Definitely. We will stay competitive, that's for sure, out there. To answer your other questions, as far as what insurance will pay, if you don't know what the insurance will pay, and then you want to let's see what you think is your portion. IRS rules state that it has to be charges incurred, data service incurred. So that right there, making a guess on what you think might be the insurance portion. At the time you're at the, and this will probably be a hospital situation.
Yep.
If you're at the hospital,
the scenario I'm thinking.
there we go, and I'm sure that's probably what she's referring to, might be wrong. But that piece right there, if a hospital asks you to put down a down payment, that is one of those items that the Benny card usually will run through for. I will tell you, though, that when they put in the data service, that is one of those items sometimes that if you put in a future date, it's not going to run that card.
Mm-hmm.
So that right there is the only piece that sometimes can cause the debit card to not go through.
Yeah.
And it's because IRS rules dictate that.
Right.
It states it has to be data service incurred. So if you're prepaying on a service,
right,
that hasn't incurred yet.
Well, and if you all have heard from me, I recommend not paying a hospital in advance for anything.
Amen.
Because
Agreed.
you don't know what your out-of-pocket is going to be,
Right.
nor do they. They don't know what the reprice is going to be from the network. They don't know what how the plan is going to pay. And so any down payment, if you will, is just a wild stab in the dark. I mean, once they verify that you have coverage and that you have benefits, because they know what your benefits are, they know what your coverage is, they need to bill you with an accurate employee portion once the service has been incurred. But things for like an office visit or a dental, something like that, you're usually checking out after the services have been rendered and the employee's out-of-pocket is accurate.
Correct.
Or should be accurate, and so shouldn't have any issues with those types of things. But this pay in advance stuff is...
That's where the hiccups are.
Yeah.
That's for sure. But yes, the majority of the time, your prescriptions, your office visit copays, et cetera, those are going to run through all the time. So,
in a situation with like a hospital bill like that, it probably would be better in most cases if they wait until the benefit plan adjudicates that, issues the EOB, they go out to the Kempton portal, grab that EOB, the PDF, and then ship it over to Kemp. That way, everything's clean and it's down to the penny accurate.
and there's no back and forth with money. There's no credits, et cetera, that take place. So, and to answer your last question there, what if you overpay using your card? That does happen. That exact scenario happens. So, like I said earlier, this is a true MasterCard. So, if you overpay at the vendor, at the provider, and you realize it, return to the vendor, and they will credit your card.
Just put it right back onto the card.
There we go. And putting it back on that card puts it back in your fund. So that immediately, once again, instant, comes back into your account and is ready for you to use those dollars back in your account. It'd
be just like somebody overcharging you for a pair of shoes.
There we go. Oh, yeah, now we're talking.
Yeah.
Yes. So.
But, again, moral of the story is, if you can, and this is just an overall smart thing, is try very hard not to pay in advance if you keep from it.
Correct. So, yeah. A manual submission might be the best route on that piece.
Yeah.
So good question.
We're not seeing any more questions. We'll give it another minute or so. See if we can get any more questions. Either we did a really good job of explaining everything, or people are just got a full week's worth of things on their mind already. But again, we really appreciate everybody's attention. Almost everybody has hung in with us here to the very, very end, which is good. We didn't run on too badly. I've had webinars that I've given before that as I start running on at the mouth, the participation declines.
Is there a way to scroll to make sure there's no more questions on that side right there, maybe?
Yeah, I don't think
I think we're
this
good.
is it.
All right.
Awesome. All right, well, we'll be signing off here, and hope everybody has a great weekend ahead. It's big football weekend, so we hope your team wins. Please give us a call, give your account manager a call if you have any questions.
Yes,
Thank you all very much.
Thank you.